from the News Channel 5 Network. This is Que-pasa-Nashville.
Bienvenidos and welcome to Que-pasa-Nashville. My name is Christina Allen and thank you for joining us. I have my dear friend Fabian Bedne, Metro Council Representative, District 31 with me today. Fabian, as always, thank you for joining us.
Oh, I'm honored to be here.
Well, I know that's been a great year so far with Metro Council, as well as with just the Nashville being a great city. Before, some of my viewers might not know who you are and where you're from, but you're from Buenos Aires, Argentina.
That's correct, yes.
Tell me what brought you to Nashville?
Oh, it's kind of like an accident, but it's been a great accident. I moved to the U.S. 25 years ago, but I just came for the one-year program. My background is in architecture, that's what I do, and I came to work on a community development corporation, a community development program in Columbus, Ohio.
And you were, as a design, you had your degree in Buenos Aires,
yes,
in design, in urban design.
In architecture and design, yes.
And then you had an exchange program with Columbus, Ohio.
That's right.
Okay, what kind of exchange program?
It was for professionals interested in social-related stuff, and I was very curious to know how, in a democracy, people build their environment, and this was a way to empower a local community to shape that neighborhood and how to deal with crime. I mean, I can talk for 2 hours about it. It was a great experience, very successful, and through that I fell in love with this country. And then when they asked me if I wanted to stay longer, I said yes.
Well, that's great because it's our, our advantages there. As you went from Columbus to Nashville, what brought you to Nashville?
Well, my wife is in the social work business, and
she's American.
Yeah, she was born in. She's from Missouri. She's a Jayhawk fan.
Jayhawk fan.
And she actually came here to a conference, and I came with her, and that's why I like the idea of the convention center, because we just came for a conference at a convention center and started walking around downtown and fell in love with the city. So when she was offered a job here, we said yes.
That was the first impression last.
Yes.
And so from there, did you get a job immediately with an architect?
Yeah, I came here. I stopped by the American Institute of Architects, and they recommended a couple of places to apply. I got a job immediately, and I worked for Hartfield and Roberts for 13 years.
Wow.
And working for them, I was the designer for many important buildings in Nashville, like the Howard Office Building, the Nashville Fire Headquarters.
Right there downtown?
Yeah, those are my babies.
Those are your babies. But you started your own company. Tell me about that.
Yes. We started a company with other Latino architects and designers, and we've been in business now for about 10 years. My partner Leo had it for 10 years before, so the combined age of the company is 20 years.
And the name of the company is?
Organicus.
Organicus Design?
Yes, our website is organicusdesign.net.
.net, and I think we have it up there in a second as well. So Nashville's home. You have children, went to Metro schools.
Yes.
You're married here, you're an architect, and then you decide to run for Metro Council.
Yes, I was very passionate about participating. At some point, a long time ago, I became a U.S. citizen, and I decided to take a harder look at the city and how I could participate and help make it better. And people started suggesting I might want to run for council. I thought they were crazy. But then I did Leadership Nashville, which was a very empowering experience, and through that I learned that it was possible for me to run for office, that I understood, that I had a sense of what it was. The first time I ran, I lost, but I did so well that I decided to give it another try, and the second time I won.
So obviously, and then you just ran for re-election and without an opponent, and
that's
so
right,
you're
yes.
You have your additional terms and stuff. So recently within the Metro Council, I mean, we just had an election, and like I said, you won. But I'm going to go back to your business. In your business now, do you work for a specific type of area of design and architecture?
No, we because of the experience of all the partners, we have had experience in healthcare, in commercial buildings, in schools. I designed Glenview Elementary, JFK Middle School. So we have a very diverse background, and so we're capable and ready to work on any projects. Some of our latest projects was the Iglesia de Dios Hispana.
Right there on Nolensville Road?
This one is all the way in Dickerson.
Okay, okay.
And it's a very cool project because it was an old Sam's warehouse that the church bought and recycled into a church.
Wow.
So it's kind of like a green sort of building, and it's taking a part of the city that is in bad shape and making it better again.
That's a huge congregation.
Yes, it's like 5,000 people will attend this church.
That is a big one.
And we were
as
the
well.
architects for that project. We also do many of Las Palmas restaurants. If you like to eat there, you know, we help make the environment better. We do residential, so we're happy with the work we do.
And so as a balance, you have your professional life, but most people know you as a Metro Council representative.
That's correct.
And District 31, but obviously representing Nashville as a whole. Recently with the election, we had 3 amendments and that were very important to the city. Amendment 1 was extend terms limits from 2 to 3, which failed. Amendment 2, which extend term limits to shrink council size from 40 to 27 failed. But the Amendment 3 would require 40% of Metro construction work to go to Davidson County residents. That passed. Give me your opinions on those 3 amendments.
Sure. The first amendment, I thought it was a good one. Nashville doesn't like the idea of extending term limits, but I was in favor of it because I think we lose, like right now we have 3/4 of the council is going to be replaced, about 3/4. And that's really bad for Nashville because we're losing a lot of know-how and experience on how to deal with legislation and zoning issues. So extending the council to 3 term limits and leaving the mayor at the 2 term was going to balance
it all out.
But Nashville decided they didn't like that, and I'm okay with that. The second one I was against. That was the one that was going to shrink the size of the council. And I happen to believe that the size of Nashville Council makes it to a more participatory type thing where people, regular people, get to run for office and represent.
And we have to remember that Davidson County is a huge territory,
absolutely.
And it has a Metro Council representing all aspects from from I guess going all over north up to Gallatin and Hendersonville, a little bit there.
Yes.
Rivergate area, South Nashville. I mean, it's a huge diameter of landmass.
Yeah, and we have one thing that is unique to in this country. Very few cities have a metropolitan government. I don't think most people in Nashville understand that we are a combined city and county, which means that the complexity and the size and the basically the sheer size of the city changes. And so to compare the council, the size of the council with Franklin, for example, it's not fair because Franklin also has a county that has its own representation. So.
Right, they have county, but they also have Brentwood, Franklin, Spring Hill.
That's right.
They have their other city councils within. So that's very important.
Yes.
Because do you feel that maybe having 40 represents all people throughout the place?
Clearly it does. I mean, to win an election in Nashville, you don't have to have money as much as you have to be ready to work and knock on doors and get to know your neighbors and be accountable to them. And so that empowers the neighborhoods to have a say on what happens in the city. If you look at it, this mayor, when he had some flagship projects that he didn't pass, it was because the neighborhoods came up on force against it.
Wow.
Like the AMP, or, I mean, regardless how you feel about it,
yeah.
It's proof that neighborhood participation does impact what happens in the city.
Let's come back to that. So, but amendment number 3, which is 40% of metro construction work goes to Davidson County, it passed, and
Yes.
there's still a little controversy there. Kind of explain how that works.
Well, I think what happens is people in Nashville, in general, for many years, they wanted to see that their tax money was being used to hire local people. Many people feel that they pay taxes, property taxes, and then the jobs are being given to people that don't live in the city, that live in suburbia, that live in other parts of the city. When the convention center was being built, I'll give you an example. My brother-in-law is an electrician. He wanted to work in the convention center. He said he couldn't because most people were not necessarily from Nashville.
So are you going to still get the same caliber of pool of expertise to be able to work these jobs? Does Davidson County have that?
Well, that's a great point, and that's what the people that were sponsoring this want. They want to see our businesses investing in training people, local people, to do these jobs. And what happened during the recession, if we lost many trades that went out of that trade and went into something else because there was no work there. And so now we need to make an investment as a city in training our own local people so they can actually work. The challenge in the coming months is to see how we're going to implement this mandate that we got from the voters in Nashville. And so, like they say, God is on the details, and we...
That details is going to be hard because it's measurables and accountability.
Yes.
That's going to be very strong.
So the challenge is going to be to come together as a city in figuring out how to create more jobs and opportunities for our local residents, and at the same time be inclusive of everybody else. So that's going to be interesting.
So 3 amendments that we will, 2 failed, 1 passed, and see how that details come about. You are a champion of affordable housing.
Yes.
Tell me, why is that important to you?
Well, that's the reason why I came to the U.S. I'm very passionate of affordable housing. Affordable housing is one of the first steps to come out of poverty. When you start building equity, when you own your own house, that's the one step that helps you get out of that poverty cycle, family cycle that many times takes generations. Now, the biggest concern I had was gentrification. I went to 3 years ago, I went to a League of Cities meeting that we had, and this was a national trend that many of the neighborhoods that are on the core, because people are moving back to the core,
right,
they're being gentrified, so communities are being destroyed, and then people are moving out to the suburbs. And as a suburban council member, I was concerned about the concentration of poverty that is already occurring in the southeast. So what I wanted to do is to find a citywide solution to this problem, and creating this legislation that engages.
And define the legislation you created.
It's calling, it was asking the planning department to come up with a legislation to bring back to the council. We wanted all the stakeholders in the city to come together and discuss how to deal with this problem of gentrification and affordable housing.
Okay, define affordable housing and define gentrification.
Okay, affordable housing is
it's not low income, it's not Section 8.
No.
So we've got to make sure that point is clear.
Well, the legislation had two brackets, affordable housing and workforce housing. Workforce housing is anybody watching this show that maybe is a teacher or is a
police officer, okay,
that cannot rent one of the $2,000 a month rent in the core of the city, that are being pushed out of the city. We don't have a very good transportation system, so they are having a hard time to get to work if they work downtown, but they are living in all the way in Mount Juliet. So
okay,
the idea is to create workforce housing downtown and also to create affordable housing downtown, so the people that are being gentrified out of these homes, people that are like an old lady that lives on fixed income, right, that is rented this house for like 20 years and now is kicked out because a duplex is coming in.
Right.
We want to give her an opportunity to be able to find another home close to where she used to live, where she has a community.
Is there also an initiative to help educate and get financial empowerment for these people to buy their homes?
Yes.
And of course, this is the wave that's going to come in.
We already have that program.
Okay.
The city has this program now for many years. It was started with a grant from the governor of New York.
Cuomo?
The mayor of New York. Bloomberg. Yeah, he gave a grant to the city, and we started this program to help people to get their finances in order. Eric Cole runs the program with the United
Way.
That's financial
empowerment,
yes,
under the mayor's office.
And
yes,
that is being great. Now, this legislation is still open-ended. We don't know how we'll end up looking. We just know that we tell them this is what we'd like it to be, but you need to decide what it's going to be. And so the planning department has already reached out to the activists, the people that are very passionate about affordability, also to the developers and to everybody that has a stake on this, so they can come around the table and find what is the Nashville solution to this problem.
And if you're going to have new development, what percentage will be for affordable workforce and so forth, not just high-end and stuff.
Yes.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, and we're going to come back with que-pasa-Nashville and Fabian Bedne and ask him, is Nashville's best days ahead of us? And we'll see what his answers will be. Join us right back with que-pasa-Nashville.